and ride off their coattails. And that's the thing. We need to put on our big boy pants, put our boots on, and get to work. And that's all. That's what it amounts to. I see a lot of talk and a lot of this and that and the other thing, but few people are actually willing to get in the ditch and dig that ditch. And that's the root of it. So
Ubuntu is the answer. Like the Bellinger is Ubuntu. One small town. It's a community that depends on itself. You grow your own food, you manufacture your own stuff, and if you have a little bit of surplus, you trade with the next community over that say has extra cheese and you have extra bread. So you exchange, everyone in your community has an equal amount. You take your elders and you promote them as teachers because you want people that have life experience to be teaching your kids. So that's truly the answer. We have the power within us, but people, again, the greed and the indoctrination of people is stopping this. Let's say tomorrow, city of Vancouver, everybody decides to not go to work. Don't pay their rent, don't pay their bills, don't pay your mortgage. What's the government going to do? Are they going to come in there and take 3 million people and throw them out on the street?
Not as long as we have guns.
There's absolutely nothing they can do, and they'll be forced to come to the table to negotiate with you to see what you want. Now, once it succeeds, then there will be a ripple effect. People across the country will begin doing it, then across the continent, then across the world. Then all these banks will fall, all these governments will fall. They'll be forced to come to the table, and then we can really get to work. And in my opinion, that's the only way to do it. But the problem is that people, they just want more. Material. Give me. They want everything handed to them. They don't want to work for it. They say, I hate the government, but yet they're in the ballot box, voting. They say they hate the money, but as soon as they get paid, they go and put their money in the bank. And that's not the action that someone hates their environment. If you hate the government, you don't go and vote for them because they're controlling you. Why vote to have someone handle you? Why go and put your money in the bank if they're ripping you off? But this is what people do, and there's no common sense to them. Absolutely no sense because they're brainwashed so badly that even you can tell them the sky's green and they'll believe you. That's the extent of their brainwash. So people coming together is it's going to be a very, very, very slow process. And I personally don't think we're going to be around to see anything like that because the way shit's rolling right now, there's a lot of violence coming in the future. Perhaps that's a good thing.
How do you get around the money part, Omar? And then
Ubuntu, sir. Ubuntu, Michael Ballinger's Ubuntu. The community that I live in, my neighborhood. 100 people live in my neighborhood. We pick out a piece of land and we begin farming. Everyone in the community comes out and volunteers 8 hours of their time a week. That's it. 8 hours a day from each person throughout the week. You have, say 100 people. That's 800 hours of labor in 1 week going into farming or going into education or going into manufacturing. You give everyone equal amounts. If the community made 100 loaves of bread and there's 100 people in the community, well, everybody worked for it. So you give them each 1 loaf of bread. It sounds communist, but on the other hand, it works. Really, who cares what it is? It could be socialism, it could be communism, it could be fascism, it could be, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it works. The system right now is not working. So we have to go into our ancient past. In ancient past, we weren't using money. We were bartering. We were trading, and we were, giving out our own services. Here, I'll come and work on your farm for, X amounts of weeks if you give me so much food. That's how it should be. And if you have communities that are organized throughout your region, then it'll flourish, and the money would be gone. We don't need money. The people that are in power, they want us to think that you need money. But in fact, like Travis was saying earlier, money doesn't even exist. You have an indefinite amount. You go into a computer and put in 10 digits in front of one, and now all of a sudden you're a trillionaire. So it doesn't exist. It's an illusion.
Literally, it doesn't exist. The Federal Reserve, it's a fiction.
That's right. Petrodollars. Everything is based on American dollars, based on oil. What happens when we get off of oil? What happens to the American economy? What are they going to do next? They have no gold. They have no dollars. And so once we go into green, where everything is solar power, wind, and what have you, the green energy, what's the American economy? What's going to happen to that economy? Because it's all based on oil. So there's a lot of danger ahead. It's like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of violence in the future, and we like to think the rosy road that everybody's coming together, and we're going to start networking. Yeah, it's going to happen, but it's going to happen extremely slow because like Travis was saying earlier, the cards are stacked against us. Or was that you?
There is a little bit of positive. There's a lot of smart people out there. There's a lot of movements, and I think people are realizing that it is that critical mass. And there are people that are willing to really put their time into this kind of thing. So let's not beat up on humanity too much and get all doom and gloom and think the fucking apocalypse is coming. But that's exactly what they're driving us to, because it's all written out and prophesized. That's exactly what they want to do, and we actually can put a stop to that. We don't have to go down those roads. We really need to reclaim our own power and say, okay, I am taking myself off the IRS system. I am going to take these steps to pull myself out of the system completely and do what I can. And if we all work on certain themes and a certain movement, we might be able to have a little bit more success. Now, again, there's a little caution out there too, because the moment somebody sticks their neck up there and starts doing that, you kind of become a target. So,
right.
Again, I don't have any answers necessarily on these big topics. All I know is something's drastically wrong in this world. You look around, there's definitely people to have great conversations with. I'd love to talk about you guys one-on-one for hours on this stuff. But the fact is, there's so much to read, there's so much to consume material-wise. We just need to work together and realize that we're not going to be a Superman and change it by ourselves, but together we really can. And how we do that, I don't know. But the internet is a great thing.
Well, you have to kind of go like with
Mighty,
They were right all along.
I'm sorry, was that?
yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Hartman, solutions to our problem and final words from you, sir.
Well, I don't have any solutions, unfortunately. You mentioned petrodollars. What about the elite having 0-point energy already?
Yeah, if that stuff was freed up, we would have a chance of walking into a golden age. And by birthright, that is our technology. They have stolen that technology. They have actually murdered people to obtain that technology, and we really can reclaim all of that back. So yeah, you're right, Stephen. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I do get pretty passionate about this because we really should take this aggressive stance and say, look, we want the right thing, and let's do the right thing, and let's set up this moral, great citizen, movement that puts us into a golden age of prosperity for everyone.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Hartman.
Well, I agree with Travis. We're going to have to find solutions. Hopefully we can do that together. I'm starting a foundation for several causes, but this fighting the military-industrial complex is one of them. But I'm afraid it's going to be carried on long after I'm gone. So I just got some suggestions in the foundation for people to follow. But I don't know. I guess it'll have to be a spiritual thing. I don't know any other way to. You can be so. Looking at slavery, it always was a spiritual thing. The slaves in Rome, slaves in the Civil War. It always was a spiritual quest. So outside of saying that, I guess I have no real solutions right now.
So what you're trying to say is work on yourself, work on your own heart, in a way, that's what I've read it as. This is a great advice.
Starts inside with one person. Starts with you. Your energy will affect those around you, and it becomes infectious, and the positive energy will spread itself over. Clarence, any thoughts on this and final words?
Oh boy, yeah. Well, like Travis was saying, Stephen, we could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. There's no easy solution to this. But I will say to those that are out there listening and watching and whatever, keep your faith, keep your peace. Be just to mankind. Help one another. Lord knows we need it. I mean, this is the thing. It's got to be a connection between the good and keep it that way. Try to keep it simple. Don't go crazy on different things. It's going to get tough. Ain't no doubt about it. It's getting tougher as we speak. But we got to maintain. And get back with your fellow man. Get back. Talk to your other followers and whatever, and just keep it going and try to get the movement moving. And hopefully, we can all get together and save humanity for what it's worth. I mean, I don't know. It's not going to be easy. No doubt about it. But I think it can be done.
Yes, I think so as well. It can be done. It's not. Sort of been said. Like Travis said, it's spiritual.